if I can go. I can take no place again. Is who I wanna be.
New to the lineup at Core Kiteboarding is the Air model, which we are testing here in the 15 square meter size. This kite is available with an Exotec frame, but also in a Lula, and the test for that version will follow a bit later. This 3-strut light wind high performance kite is supported at the leading edge by a 7-point bridle without pulleys. The steering lines are attached directly at the tip ends, and there are 3 different options to further adjust bar pressure and turning speed here. There are line deflectors at the end of the front tube and on the 2 outer cross struts. The center strut has no line deflector. There is also the well-known large inflation and deflation valve from Core, which allows you to inflate and deflate the kite. And the one pump system is kept straight and short. With the Air model, we have an Exotec leading edge and cross strut frame. The leading edge is sealed with high-strength Dacron material using a weld seam that is doubled and stitched from the inside. For the canopy, a so-called Cortex 2 is used here, which is a triple ripstop material. The trailing edge is fully reinforced, and there are still small fabric patches between each segment, as well as a batten on each side to prevent the fabric from fluttering. The struts are attached to the canopy with a double zigzag stitch, and the whole thing is reinforced and glued from the inside. The critical areas are protected from impact and abrasion with rubberized material. At the transition from the leading edge to the canopy, there is an additional narrow strip of fabric for reinforcement. The concept of the Core Pace served as a model for the Core Air, and in terms of low-end performance, we have a similar feel here. So with the less pronounced profile and higher aspect ratio, the kite draws at least 50% of its power from its flight speed, and the rest of its power in light wind comes from its base pull. With the Air, especially using the Exotec material, we have a very balanced feel between flight speed and base pull. The impressive light wind performance of this kite can easily be compared to that of a Core XR LW, but right from the very start, it genuinely feels noticeably lighter and significantly more playful in its handling. With an average body weight of approximately 80 kg, the exciting gliding fun truly commences with a high-performance foil at a gentle 5-6 knots, and with a larger, more stable twin tip at a slightly faster 6 to 7 knots. The upwind performance is also very impressive, as the Air can fly very close to the edge of the wind window and maintain its airflow very consistently there without any corrections needed from the rider. As mentioned at the beginning, the Air has a playful bar feeling. This is accompanied by light forces that remain consistent. Even as the wind increases, we do not experience any significant rise in holding or steering forces. The new fixed 7-point bridle without pulleys ensures truly direct steering here, and we have a noticeably faster response to steering input compared to the previous XR-LW or Nexus LW models. Since we tested the Core Air alongside the Core Air Alula, the point about power development is put into perspective a bit. Of course, the Exotec frame is not as rigid as that of the Alula Kite. Accordingly, we have a very sporty and remarkably strong power development here, but it is by no means as explosively powerful as with the Alula model. This particular characteristic truly sets it apart. Let's take a look at the overall flight characteristics. For this size, with 15 square meters, we have a truly astonishingly tight turning ability, which goes far beyond the average turning radius. All of this is accompanied by a high flight speed for 15 square meters, and thanks to the precise steering, everything can be implemented quickly and directly. Altogether, it feels very harmonious, but in contrast, again comparing it to the Core Air in Alula, it is a bit more comfortable, a bit more cushioned. That means it simply isn't quite as crisp as the model in Alula, which already delivers truly exceptional performance in this area. Thanks to the very stable suspension of the 7-point bridle, we have excellent profile stability here. Regardless, the profile really matches the overall concept very well. And even in light wind, the canopy stays in the air for an extremely long time. But we didn't just test the Core Air Alula in parallel, we also tested the Juice D-Lab, and some end users have already asked in advance whether we could make a comparison to the Whisper model in this area. Yes, the range in which the air operates is much closer to the edge of the wind window, and it doesn't manage to stay in the air with almost no wind quite as impressively as a Whisper model. When it comes to riding performance across the entire wind range, the Air is clearly superior. In terms of jumping, the concept that Core has developed for the Air really, you have to say, works perfectly. Namely, that a light wind kite feels just as agile and playful as, for example, a 12 square meter pace at 16 to 18 knots. The only difference is that you use the light wind kite at 10 to 13 or 12 knots, of course. With this concept, we have good sheet and go, but still, the Air is a kite that prefers to be jumped technically. In other words, a clean edge set and a clear steering command are naturally more suited for achieving greater heights than simply pulling in the bar to gain height. In terms of light wind performance, the lift and hang time are really, it has to be said, very good. To draw another comparison to the Whisper model, this particular model is truly a remarkably sporty rarity. It genuinely appeals more to the intermediate rider within the mid-wind range, in order to achieve the maximum in jumping performance and agility. Whereas a Whisper model can score points in the absolute lowest wind range up to the intermediate range, and also in the lower to mid-wind range. As mentioned, this one is clearly more sport-oriented by comparison. But if you want to take this whole concept to the extreme, meaning maximum shape stability even in very strong winds, then unfortunately you have to buy the same model, but with an Alula frame. Because if you make a direct comparison between the Core Air and the Core Air Alula, you do notice that when the wind is a bit stronger, a little bit of energy is lost in the frame. That is, in the entire kite structure, especially when loading, meaning when edging. You get the best possible performance, both in terms of riding and jumping, when you combine it with a faster twin tip. Because if the board is too slow and generally offers a bit more resistance against the kite tends to move just a tiny bit too far toward the edge of the wind window here and there, which negatively affects its optimal positioning. So, With faster twin tips, and there are certainly plenty of those in the core lineup, you have the perfect combination here. One of the main advantages of this new concept is definitely its agility. Such a level of turning responsiveness, turning speed, and tight turning radii in this size range is something we haven't seen before in this form. The price for the Air is €2,499 for the 15 square meters size, and for those who are heavier, well over 80 kilograms, or who really want to take advantage of these new features even in very strong winds, there's the Air Pro in Alula, which costs €3,499. Here, the fun for ambitious and sporty riders has definitely been expanded in light wind conditions.